podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. We're back live, baby. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks Sunday, January 2nd, 2022. The first show of the new year, episode 1856. Enjoy. Well, Happy New Year! Hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Yes, the first show of 2022 is on the air. This is the show where we talk about computers and the internet and home theater. Did I say the internet? I might have. Again, a lazy tongue. The internet and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, you'd like to talk high tech, I'd like to talk high tech with you. 8888 Ask Leo. All right, that's the phone number, and that works everywhere in the world, except you can't use a telephone outside the U.S. and Canada. You have to use Skype out or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. Website is the same address, but it's changed. It's changed its look and feel, as it were. Last year, we said goodbye to our trusty scribe, James DeRuvo, and we said hello to our brand new scribe, the computer automated AI. James, your job was taken by a robot. It's going to happen to us all in the end. TechGuyLabs.com will take you to the mothership of the podcast network, twit.tv, and you'll see the show. This is episode 1856 for a brand new year. And we're gonna put the links in, things that I mentioned, stuff like that. But at the bottom of that listing, you'll see transcript. And this is going to be, it's computer generated, but it's a full transcript of the show, including time codes, which are a little rough depends on how you're consuming it. But it'll give you the rough idea. And if you wanted to watch that portion, we'll put the audio and video up too, so you could jump to that portion of the show and listen or watch. But that's after the show's on the air, obviously. But the idea is, well, the transcripts are there. You can read the question, read the answer. If you want to listen and watch, you can do that. And then the links are all kind of right in the front and center. So we're going to see how that works out. But just FYI, if you're one of those people who after the fact wants, I need to, what did he just say? It'll all be there. TechGuyLabs.com. Of course, that's free. There's no charge whatsoever. Let's see. Did anything happen while I was gone? Not too much. Not too much. There was a guy whose iPhone replaced a woman's head with a leaf. Did you see? We talk a lot about computational photography on this show. You know, the idea that nowadays, especially with the smartphone, a lot of the work is done not by the lenses and by the sensor, but by the computer at the other end, which takes the kind of admittedly inadequate image and buffs it up a little bit. Actually, all cameras nowadays do that. They have bare filters and things in even the fancy digital cameras that do some processing. Frankly, your eyes do process it, right? The image that's coming into your eyes is upside down. Did you know that? Yes, it is. But your brain, the equivalent of the processor in your phone, your brain goes, wait a minute, hold on there, flips it around, and you're good. So everything you're seeing is upside down. You didn't know that. That could be disorienting to know that. But then your brain says, I know it's upside down, so I'm going to fix it. So that's kind of what happens with the camera phone. The computer in the phone, which is very, very powerful, kind of remarkably powerful. I just read an article in the IEEE Spectrum that said it's a quadrillion mainframes in your lap. I'll put a pin in that one. We'll get back to that. But you've got this amazingly powerful phone in your pocket. And frankly, the phone, because of the size, can't really have great lenses or anything. They've improved these a lot, but they're still pretty weird. So it's doing a lot of computation. Back to the guy who took a picture. His name is Mark Cohen. He tweeted it. He said, I snapped a photo of a group of people outside today. My iPhone replaced one woman's head with a leaf. The rest of the photo is fine, no weird settings. I've never seen this before. Some people hypothesized that maybe the leaf had just fallen in front of the camera. But no, you could see the outline of where her head would be and blurred and replaced by stuff, including one big leaf. Not what you were looking for. Probably it's one of those things where you take 1 billion photos and every once in a while the computer's going to screw up, and it did. It's a good thing to know, though, that this is going to happen. Just FYI. FYI. Yeah. The camera's doing a lot of weird stuff, and actually the thread on Twitter is good. We'll put a link in the show notes to that, because the thread has a lot of conjecture and investigation. But bottom line, you can't, nowadays, I think this is true, you can't trust anything you see on TV or hear on the radio or anything like that. So your computer in your phone, your laptop, is so much more powerful. So this article in the IEEE Spectrum, he compares it to a giant mainframe from the early 1960s, the IBM 7090, the 7090. The first line of transistorized computers didn't use vacuum tubes. It was big, filled up a room. A lot of that was tapes. That's where it would store stuff. And I know some of our audience actually has worked on these 7090s. Cost $20 million in today's money. About 6,000 times as much as a really good laptop today. I'm sorry, did I say 6? 60. Try 60. No, 6. Let's see. Good laptop. That's about right. Good laptop be around $2,000, $3,000, somewhere in there. $3,500. Of course, one of the problems in the old days with these mainframes is you couldn't sit down in front of it and use it 100%. You had to timeshare it with other people. You were lucky, according to this article by Rodney Brooks in the IEEE Spectrum, you were lucky if you get an hour of computer time a week. The 7090 had a clock cycle of 2.18 microseconds. Translate that into the modern, we talk about megahertz and gigahertz. It was 500 kilohertz. But even that overestimates its performance because of the way instructions worked. There was no pipelining in those days. So it's estimated it could do about 100,000 instructions a second. That sounds like a lot. In fact, in 1963, you're going, wow, that thing's fast. 100,000 instructions a second. Our modern computers, 3 billion instructions per second. 3 billion. And, of course, that's per core. And you have, in your iPhone, I think you have 8 cores, 6 or 8, something like that. And your laptop, you have, 4 or more. My iMac has 10 cores. So we're talking, when you add up the cores and everything, 100,000 times faster than that mainframe. It's kind of hard. So it's kind of hard to put this all in perspective. But because you don't have to, wait and share your computer with anybody, you can rack up 1,900 years of 7090 computer time every week. Almost 2,000 years of computer time on the mainframe every week on your laptop. And we're doing stuff, though, to use it. Maybe you've heard of the AI model GPT-3. This is a new artificial intelligence that's writing articles, blog posts, plays. To make the model, just the model to train that language, would have taken 36 million years on the mainframe. So that's why, we didn't have artificial intelligence back in those days. People gave up on artificial intelligence as you can't do it. Well, it helps if you have, 36 million years to work on it. It makes it easier. I can go on and on about memory and storage and et cetera. But the difference, essentially, in 60 years of computing, is remarkable. Just you have the equivalent of thousands, maybe millions, maybe quadrillions of those 7090s on your laptop. Wow. Let's see. Actually, I come to think of it, a lot of things happened while I was gone, while we were gone, while we were enjoying the holiday. I hope you had a good holiday. I do. I hope you had a nice holiday. Let's see, what else? AT&T and Verizon have thumbed their nose at the Federal Aviation Administration. The January 5th, what is that, Wednesday? They're going to turn on 5G wireless, and the FAA says this could be a problem for planes, especially for navigation equipment like altimeters. The phone companies said, hey, you can't hold this spectrum. We spent billions of dollars on it. You can't hold it hostage until people upgrade those obsolete altimeters. Yeah, but if you're flying a plane with that altimeter and not good. So that happens Wednesday. Tuesday, it's the end of the line for an old friend, Blackberry. As of January 4th, if you're running, if you have an old phone or maybe a tablet, like the Playbook running Blackberry's own software, it will no longer reliably function. That's the quote from the company. I don't know what that means. It will no longer reliably function. Okay. So I don't know if you're still using that Blackberry, maybe it's time to get a newer phone. Speaking of no longer reliably function, there was a YK22 bug January 1st, yesterday. Microsoft Exchange, which is a mail server widely used by big companies, broke. They didn't, at midnight, January 1st, 2022, it's a long, sad computer science story, but they broke. And the FIPS FS engine is blocking email delivery with on-premises servers starting at midnight. That's why you haven't had an email. And you know what? Not so bad. Honestly. Not so bad. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. I want to take a little break. Get ready. Sam Abuelsamid is here. Our car guy, we'll talk to him in a bit, but we're going to get to your phone calls. Let's have who's going to be the first call of 2022. We'll find out right after this. Yeah, Microsoft used signed 32-bit ints. Uh-oh. I got to take it. Did you take it back, John, or something? Now it's working. Okay. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. What's up? How was your Christmas and New Year?
Oh, it was fine.
Good.
We had new flooring installed in our kitchen and dining room and laundry room.
I saw it. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
We're really enjoying it.
I like those hardwood floors. That's nice.
Yeah. Had some nasty old laminate in the dining room before and some rapidly deteriorating vinyl in the kitchen and the laundry room. And so we just replaced it all with these hickory planks.
Hickory planks? That's nice.
Yeah.
You could smoke your food with them.
I smoked a turkey yesterday.
Ooh.
My wife picked one up at Costco a couple days after Christmas on sale, and I smoked it yesterday.
What did we do for food? Oh, I made the best smoked prime rib for Christmas Day.
That sounds good.
Amazing. In fact, I have some prime rib hash waiting for me when I get home.
Oh,
yum.
That would be awesome.
And then we had crab on Christmas Eve because this is the crab season in Northern California. The Dungeness crab come in. They're really good. So that's a New Year's tradition in Northern California. And then what did we have for New Year's Eve? Oh, I polled the spouse. was a quick bowl, only one vote. And she wanted steak and cream spinach and mushrooms and onions. So we had a steakhouse dinner on New Year's Eve and then watched Anderson Cooper get giddy drunk. Went to bed at 9. It's great. Perfect. Did you stay up till midnight last New Year's Eve?
Nah.
No. I haven't done that in years.
Yeah.
Years. It's not worth it. What are you going to do? You go out.
It is, it's just another day.
Just another day.
It doesn't matter anymore.
You bang some pots. It doesn't matter anymore. They're all blurring together.
I'm just glad that nobody set off any fireworks around here.
Oh, we had a lot of those. Oh, we had a lot.
That always gets Daisy all very agitated, upset.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad for the dogs. So. I couldn't tell, Mike B. It seemed like Anderson was getting kind of girly giggly, but maybe that's just how he is, and it wasn't that he was drunk. He was just
letting go.
Couldn't stop laughing. Andy was definitely drunk. Towards the end, he's starting to yell, "Goodbye, Mayor de Blasio. I hate you." It was terrible. It was really bad. But I think that's why, I don't know why CNN does it, because it takes all their serious anchors and makes them look like morons. But I guess they do it once a year just to kind of, reassure you that they're human. But boy. Okay. We'll talk to you in about 10.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 2022, Kim Schaffer, our telephone operator, the unbreakable phone angel. Hello,
Happy
Kim.
New Year.
Back in her little brick cell. Happy New Year. Did you have a good New Year's Eve?
On the couch with 3 cats on top of me and a glass of bubbly.
That's all you need. Yeah, Lisa broke out the bubbly, but we did it at 9 p.m. California time.
I stuck through and
Did
I
you
made
stay
it.
up?
I made it till about 1 in the morning.
Oh my gosh!
Then I turned in.
Serious?
Yeah.
See, the nice thing about being in California is we can celebrate New Year's Eve with New York.
Which I did. I
watch
celebrated
the
that
ball
one
drop,
first.
and then we're in bed by 9:30. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was. Yeah. I mean, I hope for something a little more exciting next year.
Yeah, we might actually be able to go out.
Yeah,
you mean?
maybe like even just a house party with friends. But
yeah, we didn't want to do that either.
Nope.
These days, it's a little scary. So we just stayed home and made the best of it. Who should I start this show talking to? First call of 2022.
Let's go to. I'm looking at the name on the caller ID and not the name that they gave me. John in Naples, Florida.
No, don't reveal John's real name.
Or whoever is paying the cell phone bill. I don't know.
Thank you, Kim. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Hi, John from Naples. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Thank you. My brother is getting married on Saturday.
Congratulations.
Down here in Florida. And we have a kind of a setup where a guy is going to give us a lot of raw footage from both the ceremony and the reception. And I was wondering what kind of video editing software you would recommend for kind of a novice to kind of put that together.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge because people are going to shoot it in all different ways. People on an iPhone, it'll be in a high-efficiency video codec. People on Pixel phones, it'll be in probably an MP4, not MP5, and it'll be a variety. But, so the first challenge is going to be get all that video on your hard drive, convert it so it's all the same thing. If you had a good editor, maybe you wouldn't have to do that. So are you on Windows?
Windows.
Okay. Microsoft does ship a video editor with Windows. I don't recommend. It's pretty primitive. It's the basics, Are you willing to spend about $90?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's worth getting something called Adobe Premiere Elements. You can get it online. And it's always under $100. It can vary as little as $72. I've seen it for, but it's around $90 list price. And what's nice about it is that professional video programming. In fact, we use Premiere. A lot of video companies use Premiere, the big boy Premiere, for video editing. We do at our podcast network. We do a lot of video editing, and Elements is essentially all of the capability of Premiere underneath a simplified user interface designed for, people like you who aren't video editors, but just have some video you want to do. And you can do all sorts of things with it. You can chop it up. You can, match it to the music. People like to do that, right? Where the beats of the music match the cuts of the video. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun project for you. And I think I'm going to give you a little sidebar footnote on this. I think Premiere Elements will import all the videos you're going to get. Is it people with iPhones, and is it camera phones mostly?
Yeah. So we have a couple people with iPhones, and I think one guy has an Android phone, but we're trying to maybe try to replace him with maybe somebody with an iPhone.
This will be a great project, really. I'll tell you how old I am. When we got married, we handed out Instamatic cameras, put them on every table, and asked people to drop the cameras in a bin as they left so we can get them developed. That's how long ago that was. So I think what you've got there is pretty good. You could set up a Google Photos account where people could share the video to. Actually, that might be a good idea because then it would convert the photos. But if you have trouble reading any of the videos, there's a free program. I think Premiere will do fine, but there's a free program called Handbrake, HANDBRAKE, like a handbrake on a car, from handbrake.fr, that will convert it all into a format that Premiere likes if it can't read it. But you should be able to read everything. I don't think it'll be too much trouble. Yeah, and then you can burn it to a DVD if you really want to go old school, or you can post. What I would do, create a Google Photos shared library for the wedding. People could put stills and videos up there, and then you could put the final video up there, and everybody can get to see it, and then you don't have to distribute it.
Sounds good. So one more question. So if we have a dance floor in the reception hall, and I was wondering if I can kind of notch the camera up on some kind of, or an iPhone up on some kind of pedestal so where it stays still.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Hang on, I'll tell you how to do that.
Okay.
We got to take a little break. Sam Abuelsamid coming up to talk cars right after this. So, that's easy to do. There are a lot of mounts for phones, either that are, I wouldn't worry about one that's exactly the right size. There are mounts for phones that are like kind of on springs so that you can hold it. I would look at a company called Joby, Joby. They make a product called GorillaPod that's, I think, fantastic. It's a tripod. They make one that's designed to hold the phone sideways. And then it's got little bendy legs. So it's not a standard tripod. It's got bendy legs. So you could find something like, a pipe or whatever, bend the legs around it and hold it on real tight. So these are great. The joby.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and get a GorillaPod, and you can see which one is right for you. But I love these guys because they're flexible. They'll go on anything.
Sounds good. I really appreciate it, Leo.
Hey, have a great wedding.
Thank you so much.
Sounds like fun.
Yep.
Take care, John.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time for another unscripted presentation from Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights and podcaster, Wheelbearings.media. All of our presentations are unscripted.
Flying without a safety net.
Yes. Performed in front of a live audience in Studio City, California. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Leo. How are you?
I am great. I saw Tesla released numbers for their fourth quarter. Almost 1 million vehicles sold. Wow.
Yep.
How many of them were recalled?
Some of them still crash into fire trucks.
No, let's not be mean to poor old Elon. The richest man in the world, the richest poor little rich boy.
He can afford it.
Yeah, he can afford it. So what do you want to talk about today, Sam?
Actually, I made that joke for a reason because that's the topic of the day.
What is it?
Which is an emergency vehicle alert system. So this is some news that just came out of Stellantis the other day. Stellantis, for those who don't keep close track of the auto industry, is the company that was formed out of the merger of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and PSA, the French automaker that owns Peugeot and Citroën, last year. So this includes Jeep and Ram and Chrysler and Dodge and about 10 other brands globally. Anyway, the thing that they announced was this emergency vehicle alert system. They're working with a company called Haas Alert, who has a product or a platform called the Safety Cloud. and they've had this operational for several years already. It's a vehicle-to-everything communication system, or V2X communication system. And what they do is this is one of quite a few of these sorts of platforms that we're going to see coming over the next several years that collects data from connected vehicles. So almost all of the new vehicles being produced today are connected vehicles. They have cellular modems in there, usually 4G LTE modems. And in the next year or so, maybe by the end of this year, we'll start to see some cars with 5G coming to market in the U.S. I think the BMW iX will probably be one of the first with 5G in the U.S. market later this year. But
do you usually have to pay a subscription fee for the 4G?
Yeah. So what they do is manufacturers typically give you several years of basic services, complimentary, that they bundle into the price of the car. So you get typically anywhere from 3 to 5 years of service, and then after that, and then they have some premium services on top of that as well that you can subscribe to. And
so like OnStar is free for a couple of years, and then you pay for it.
OnStar, Ford Pass, Connect, Hyundai's Blue Link. Everybody's got these services, these connected services, and what Haas Alert has been doing is they've been working for several years with fleets of emergency response vehicles, so fire trucks, ambulances, police vehicles, that sort of thing, to get them connected. So when they're either these, they've got thousands of these out there already on the road. When they're either on their way to an emergency or they're stopped, at a location. I'm sure everybody's experienced. You're driving down the road, you hear a siren, but you can't tell where it's coming from. It's hard. It's often hard to judge what direction it's coming from.
Yeah. Especially if you got your Beats headphones on.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't, it can be difficult to judge the direction the sound is coming from.
How many times have we done that? You hear a siren and you start looking around to see where is the vehicle coming from.
Right. Yeah. So what they do, what they have is transponders in these vehicles that when they turn on the sirens or the lights, the flashing lights, it sends a signal up to the cloud, gives the location of that vehicle, and then from that cloud they distribute that data over the network in real time. They've actually had this integrated with Waze for some time now. I wasn't aware of that. I only just found out about this. That they're actually providing alerts through Waze now for about the last year or two.
WAZE, the mapping app. Yeah. I love the Waze. If I'm driving somewhere, if I were a regular commuter, I'd use it. But, I don't commute that often. But if you're really driving somewhere, you want to know, are there hazards on the road, speed traps, all that stuff. Waze is great for that.
Yeah, and so what Haas does is, they provide both stationary location. So when you're driving down the road, you've seen if you've used Waze, you've seen the alerts that pop up.
Right.
From
usually
people that tap. Hey, there's
usually that's a
speed trap or whatever.
Right.
But they're also getting it directly from the vehicles now, and they're also providing alerts if there's a vehicle coming up behind you. So it knows what direction you're traveling, what road you're on. And if the emergency vehicle's on the same road, traveling in the same direction, it'll say, hey, there's an emergency vehicle approaching from behind, and give you the approximate distance.
That's very useful. That's great.
And what they're doing now is they're integrating that with Stellantis vehicles that have either the Uconnect 4, their older system, or their new Uconnect 5 system. And
wait a minute, who makes Stellantis vehicles? Who's that?
So Stellantis, as I said, is the company from the merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA, the French automaker.
So you might have a Peugeot, you might have a Chrysler, Dodge Ram.
Yeah, it's in North America first, so it'll be Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep vehicles.
Okay.
Starting this year, and then they're going to expand it globally to the rest of the Stellantis
But now,
brands.
of course, the emergency vehicles have to also have a transponder. They have to be broadcast.
Right, and that's what they've been doing. They've been equipping these for several years now already.
So they're pretty widespread, those transponders. Yep. Oh, all right.
Yep.
Why did they do that? For traffic lights or?
That's one of the applications. So as it's approaching a traffic signal, it can be integrated with traffic signal control systems to automatically switch the lights, so that they don't have to run through red lights. It can proactively switch the lights. With this, it'll provide an alert directly on the screen in your Stellantis vehicle, so you don't even have to be using Waze. It'll pop up, and if you're watching the if you're watching the video stream, you can see over my shoulder there's a picture of a Ram pickup with the emergency alert signal on the screen, so that you'll know that there's a vehicle approaching, or there's one on the side of the road, quarter mile, half a mile ahead of you, so you can adjust your speed and hopefully move over, give them some extra room, that sort of thing.
This is interesting because it's the first step in getting inter-car communication.
Yep.
Anyway, and ultimately that's what you'd like.
Yeah. And long term, that's what we will get, is we'll get direct vehicle-to-vehicle communication as well, so that even if you're in an area where you don't have a good cell signal, they're going to start equipping vehicles with cellular V2X, so that the vehicles can talk directly to each other without having to go through the carrier network. So there's less latency then, and it also works if you're approaching a vehicle that's stopped, even if it doesn't have a cell connection.
Yeah. That's an exciting future. How far off is that, do you think?
I think we're going to start seeing some vehicles. There's already vehicles on the market in China that are using cellular V2X. There have been some vehicles previously sold here from Cadillac that had a V2V, vehicle-to-vehicle technology that was a different technology. It was a Wi-Fi based technology. But we're going to start seeing some here, I think sometime later this year, the first vehicles with cellular V2X, and then into 23 and 24, we'll start to see a whole lot more vehicles that have this technology in there.
Also critical technology eventually in self-driving vehicles, because
absolutely
having them be able to talk to that oncoming bus would be a good thing.
Yeah, and to signal intent to each other and to pedestrians.
You come to a four-way
vehicles.
Stop, and they say, after you, Alphonse, and then they say, after you, Alphonse, and nobody goes.
Yeah, because we, as human drivers, we use nonverbal communications all the time.
Yeah,
we'll
you look or you wave. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
And with V2V communications, the vehicles can do that directly with each other.
The other reason the car companies like it, a little thing called subscriptions. They love.
There's that.
Sam Abuelsamid, Guidehouse Insights. He's a principal researcher there. And don't forget his podcast, Wheel Bearings. If you love this kind of stuff, you'll love Wheel Bearings. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Thanks, Leo.
That's cool. I think that's going to be very cool. I'm glad that there's, you got to give them some incentive, otherwise they'll never do it. So it's good.
Yeah, and this is one of many kinds of applications that you can use with V2X. Actually, Audi for several years now on most Audi vehicles, they've had a V2X system to indicate traffic signal. What's going on with the traffic signals coming up ahead. So if you're in an area where they've got connected traffic signals, the vehicles are talking to the traffic control system, and it can give you a countdown timer of when that light is going to turn green or turn red, so that you can adjust. And actually, one of the newer features that they added last year, I think, or 2019 on these Audis is a speed recommendation. So as you're driving down a road, it can communicate and get the signal timing information from the traffic control center, and it will suggest to you, what the optimal speed is, so that you will hit green lights all the way through, so you won't be stuck at every red light. So whatever, based on that signal timing, if you drive at this speed, you'll be able to just drive straight through.
I always assume the signals are timed to the speed limit. That's not always the case, huh?
It's not. Well, and it depends. I mean, in some locations, you also have dynamic signals that are based on traffic flow, so that they will adjust the signal timing. So if there's no traffic in coming from one direction or the other at an intersection, they can leave it on longer on the green in the opposite direction if there's more traffic flow. So they and they do that using motion sensors and other sensors. So they do make they does change from time to time. In some places they are static, based on the speed limit, but based on whatever's going on in real time. So it's giving you real time information to optimize your driving, because not only is it less aggravating if you don't have to stop at every red light. It's also more fuel efficient. If you can just maintain a constant speed, say 41 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour, whatever it might be for that location, rather than continuously stopping and accelerating again, you're going to use a lot less energy and have a lot less emissions.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. The future is bright.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to make it brighter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting technologies out there, and we'll see other applications of this type of technology. The original approach they used was something called DSRC, dedicated short range communications, which was a variant of Wi-Fi. It was 802.11p, 802.11p. And they have since switched over to using cellular V2X, so it's based on LTE and now 5G. So they expanded the LTE and 5G standards to allow for direct peer-to-peer communications without going through a carrier network. So you can either get, depending on the nature of the information, it can either go through the carrier if the real-time capability is not needed, or it can go directly from vehicle to vehicle, or from vehicle to roadside units, or vehicle to pedestrian. So you can build this into smartphones and get indicators of when a pedestrian is about to cross the street, that sort of thing. There's a lot of cool applications of this.
That would be nice.
And the peer-to-peer stuff, because it doesn't have to go through a carrier network, also would not necessarily require a subscription.
8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, Skype will do it. 8888 Ask Leo. Marshall's on the line from Vista, California. Hello, Marshall.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh, wow. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Oh, you made it. Not only did you make it before the hour is up. You're number 2 in 2022. Congratulations.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
You for a long time, but half the time I don't understand anything what you guys are talking about, but I try to learn.
Well, I hope it sinks in. I try to.
Eventually. Well, let's get to the point so I don't get cut off too soon. I got, the smart TV stuff, but when I was overseas way back when, I picked up, a stereo set like most people do. It was a Pioneer 640, very powerful. And then, of course, the Kenwood 777 speakers.
Oh, no. You love your system, don't you?
Reel-to-reel.
Oh, nice.
A Kai, and then, of course, the record player, Gerard record player. Always,
Nice.
Anyway, so I was wondering, is there a way to connect my smart TV, to go through it, to come out my speakers?
Yeah, absolutely. But you're going to have to buy a little converter box to do it.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So your old Toshiba amp obviously doesn't have digital inputs. And that's what your TV's putting out. So I should actually, some older amps had optical inputs. Do you have an optical? No. It's all analog, just red and white in left and right.
This is way back during the Vietnam era. No optical back then. So, in order of preference, your TV has a HDMI port called the ARC audio return channel. That is an HDMI cable that would normally go into a digital amp that has HDMI. The amp would say, I see video on this, but more importantly, from my point of view, I also see audio. I'm going to separate out the audio. So what you need is something called a digital to analog converter, or DAC, that will take the HDMI digital signal from the ARC channel. So if you look on the back of your TV, one of the HDMI ports will be labeled ARC. That stands for Audio Return Channel. And that's where the TV sends the audio out. Normally TV takes the video and the audio in,
but because it's internally got its own computer doing streaming video from Netflix, etc., it has that information inside the TV. You need to get it out. So the audio return channel is one of several ways. There may be, you should look on the back of the TV, analog out. If that's the case, then that makes it simple. A lot of times there is, because the TV speakers are probably analog, so there may be a connection that goes into the speakers of the TV that you can take the analog from. It used to be they very commonly put headphone ports on TVs. They don't seem to do that much anymore. And those are, of course, analog. So the first thing to do is look and see, the TV may have a DAC built in. It probably does. And if it does, look for some way to get the analog audio out, in which case your job is simple. You just have to get connectors that match up.
A cable?
Yeah, a cable that has the right things on both ends. On your end, on the Toshiba end, RCA, probably RCA plugs, because you probably have
I believe so.
Yeah, that would be for some other input, a turntable or whatever, 8 tracks, whatever they used in the 60s. I can't remember. And then, and then on the other end, whatever that TV output is, whether it's a headphone jack. Sometimes you'll see, I've even seen this, speaker wire coming out of the back of the TV and then going back into the speakers in front on the TV, like they're separates. If you see that, that'd work. But if you don't, then you're going to need to get a converter that have HDMI in and analog out. Now, there are plenty of those. It's HDMI. You could search for HDMI DAC on Amazon.
I was going to ask you if that's Amazon or Monoprice or whatever.
Monoprice has them. Lots of companies have them. They're a little expensive, or they can be, because it's a little computer. It's got circuitry, but you can get them for under $100, but it depends on the quality of the digital to analog converter.
Okay.
So I'm looking at one.
Particular brand?
No, they're all from China. They all have funny names from China. I'm looking at one that's $23.
I'm trying to do this myself because all my tech support is almost left the country for now.
I will put in the show notes, techguylabs.com, a link to a $23 box. Now, I've never tried it, but I imagine this is going to work. It's exactly.
I don't mind the price.
Well, start with the $23 box. What it does is it takes the ARC channel from the TV. It'll also take SPDIF, which is the optical. Your TV may also have that. And on the other end, it has the coax, just like your stereo wants, red and white, left and right. Going out, and it has headphones as well, going out. And so this box is a $23 box. It's called the ARC Audio Extractor and DAC Converter. So it does the two things that you need to do, which is take the digital audio out via the audio return channel from the TV, converts it into analog bits that your Toshiba can understand. So I'll put a link in the show notes, techguylabs.com. This is just one device. Techguylabs.com. But you can also search.
Hopefully I'll be able to surf my way through the website.
You'll figure it out. Hey, if not, just Google search, or not even Google search. Go to Amazon.com and Amazon search HDMI ARC audio extractor.
Yeah. ARC pretty much is the key word right there.
Yeah, that's in this alphabet soup of all of this.
Yeah,
that's the
audio
one.
Return.
You got it. And that,
great.
Yeah, look for that on your TV. Before you buy anything, though, do look and see if your TV. Sometimes TVs have analog out. You see that less and less. They don't want to do that.
It's a Samsung. It's not too old, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to basically what you're doing is taking the digital output from the Samsung, turning it into something that the Toshiba, something Vietnam era can understand. Got it? But you know what? That's a great setup. I bet it sounds fantastic.
Oh man, I tell you what, it's like 640 watt per channel or something.
I bet your Creedence Clearwater tapes sound fantastic on that.
Yeah, all of them. Absolutely.
Hey, it's a pleasure talking to you, Marshall. Yeah, if you have any questions, just call back. Yeah, this is a good time to call because, the holidays, people are taking a break. And, look who's on the line here. Dr. Bird is here. Hello, Dr. Bird.
Hello, Leo. How are you doing?
My favorite bird photographer.
Oh, good. Matter of fact, I've got a student coming up on Tuesday. I got to teach her how to use her Sony A9.
Oh, I love the A9. Perfect for bird photography. Very fast focus.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was looking at it. I just met her this afternoon, and she uses a 200 to 600, and I'm going to do a lesson on how to do birds in flight with her.
Birds in flight. But you know what? That's the camera for it, I think. That'll be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I believe me, Leo. If I had more money, I'd probably do the conversion myself. But I mean, me as a poor bird photographer, I just got to stay with my 1DX, my 72.
Oh, those aren't too. Now, cry me a river. You got a pretty nice setup, it sounds like.
I do. But some of the mirrorless stuff is pretty good. I actually tried using the R5. What I didn't like about it, the exposure changes too much for my sensitive eyes.
Well, and it's such a high megapixel camera that it probably isn't ideal for birds in flight. But on the other hand, the A9 is designed for sports and action and all that stuff. I hear the magic sound. Hang on. We'll get to your question. I know you want to talk about Teslas. We'll do that when we come back. How about that?
Yeah, I definitely want to.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bird. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, we're back live for the first show of 2022 coming up in just a little bit. Chris Marquardt, we're going to review our photo assignment, Lazy. Sam, we just had Sam, Chris. Oh, Rod Pyle, spaceman. We got lots to talk about. The James Webb Telescope launching on Christmas Day. They're working to unfold the sun shields, and this is very exciting space news. So that's still to come. Meanwhile, Dr. Bird been very patient, hanging on the line. Thank you, Dr. Bird, all the way through local news and from Laguna Hills, California. Welcome back.
Laguna
Niguel. Sorry. Yes.
That's right, Leo. Well, here, Leo, I'll get right to the point. I know you're an electric car fan, but I'm at war with the electric car manufacturers.
What's the matter?
Well, here, I want you to read about yourself, because you live up in the Bay Area. East Bay County sued over wind turbine project's threats to bats and birds.
They're not good for birds, are they? Yeah.
Oh, and
we have to train birds not to fly into wind turbines. You
know what, Leo? If you go to Donald Trump's website and you see a photo of a golden eagle with a head cut off.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's disgusting.
Leo,
but wait a minute. Come on. This is a war against renewable energy that is propaganda entirely, because big oil would very much like you to continue to mine that oil, get it out of the ground. We already got $1 trillion worth of oil out of the ground. We want to sell it to you. We need to do renewables, Dr. Bird. You know that. That's better for birds and other living creatures on the planet. There will be no birds if the planet warms up another 2 degrees Celsius.
Leo, I'm not going to argue about the environment, because I'm out in the environment every day photographing birds.
Yeah.
I'm a person who does things for real. Now, one thing about Tesla vehicles and the electric vehicles I just don't like is the wind farms. It's just the fact that the wind farms are running all the time.
Okay.
Hybrid vehicles and plug-in vehicles.
No, we got it. No, we got to stop using fossil fuels, period. There's no question about it. Electric vehicles are not perfect. They're far better than fossil fuel vehicles. You'll hear a lot of propaganda and FUD about that. It's just not true. It's not going to end climate change. I wish, we could say if everybody drove an electric vehicle, climate change would go away, but that isn't the case. But it is, in fact, the biggest polluter. Let's use the word pollution instead. What about that? How do you feel about that? That's a better word. I wish they hadn't made it climate change, because everybody's against pollution, right? There's no debate about pollution. If we can get those internal combustion engines out of production and off the roads, huge reduction in pollution. That's simple enough, right? Everybody can get behind that. We have a lot more to do. I agree. I just read an article about the use of power in Bitcoin. It's pretty bad. Bitcoin transactions used as much power as the country of Argentina last year. On the other hand, a lot of what we do, a lot of human activity, also uses a lot of power. We need to solve it all around. During the year 2021, Bitcoin consumed 134 terawatt hours, related CO2 emissions, 64 megatons, enough to negate the entire global net savings from deploying electric vehicles. So maybe Bitcoin would be another thing. On the other hand, if you look at the graphs, gold mining and recycling uses more power, or almost as much power as Bitcoin mining. Our banking system uses 390 terawatt hours in 2020. So there's other things using it. But if you look at the the amount of CO2 pumped into the air by automobiles, by land transport, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So we got to stop that. Number one, by the way, I'm not sure why, building sector. The building sector is number one. I'll tell you what, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But don't fall for the propaganda, the FUD being spread by the oil companies who want us to keep buying oil even though it's a horrible polluter. We need to find alternatives. And I don't think you can say that wind... I mean, it's not the only way of generating renewables, but I don't think you say wind turbines killing more birds than a kitty cats. How many birds do kitty cats kill? We're gonna ban kitty cats. Aaron on the line from Carlsbad, California. Hello, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, long time, first time, Leo. I have a plug-in hybrid question for you.
Yes, sir.
So I'm looking at buying a 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrid. They released a Wrangler model with the same engine and setup last year, and it actually gets 2 miles less per gallon than its V6 counterpart. I'm wondering how that could be.
I wish Sam Abuelsamid were here.
I know. I was hoping he was.
You know, the part of the problem really is the measurement is kind of funny, right? And sometimes the EPA changes how they do the measurements, which could be one of the reasons why it's changed. It's kind of a made-up measurement anyway. They're trying to estimate how much the energy usage would be, but it very much depends on how you use it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'll give you an example. You know, I drive an all-electric vehicle, my Mustang Mach-E. Yeah. During the summer months, when I don't have to do as much climate control, I get around mileage for full charge, about 260 miles for the 88 kilowatt hour battery in there. Right now, 100% charge is about 50 miles less. And that's just because I have to heat the car. So, and I don't even run the heater very high. The nice thing about most modern vehicles is they're constantly measuring your performance and adjusting and giving you the actual mileage. So what the EPA says is their estimate based on a certain kind of driving and so forth. But it's your driving that matters. It's whether you're running the heater or not, whether a lot of electric vehicles these days have seat warmers and heated steering wheels so that you won't run the heater, which is very, very, uses a lot of energy. Okay. Yeah, so I would say I wouldn't worry about it. Probably that 2 miles difference is more change in EPA measurement than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know in 3 months.
I think you're going to love it. For people who are worried about range or have long commutes, plug-in hybrids are a really good choice. You're still, it's a battery electric vehicle, but it has a small gas engine that can charge the battery. For times when you can't get to a charger, I think it's a very good choice. It's a very difficult calculation to make. And the EPA, they have these MPGE measurements that they give you. That's a very rough estimate. It's not going to be real until you drive it. And it gets to see your driving. And one of the first things I did when I got the new Mustang, it comes with, its own estimate about what its mileage is going to be, what its range is going to be. I reset that, which means it was way off at first. But as you use it, it's, you're always looking, and I think most electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids and hybrids will probably tell you what the power usage is per mile. And that's what you want to look at. And that's what it's looking at. And that's where it's adjusting the range, saying, well, this Leo guy, he's using, 3 kilowatts per mile, we got to adjust that over somebody who uses only 2 kilowatts per mile, that kind of thing. Let's take a little break, come back, more of your calls, 8888 Ask Leo. We got a full board, but as I finish up with somebody, you can try calling in then. You should be able to get through 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's chilly out here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Our photo guy, Chris Marquardt, my personal photo sensei, comes up in just a little bit. We're going to do a photography review. Got some good submissions for the lazy assignment. And Chris will take a look at some of those images and go to the fishbowl and draw another word for next month's assignment. Meanwhile, let's say hello to Shallon on the line from New Mexico. Hello, Shallon.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So I just got a really good internet connection put into my house.
Isn't that a nice feeling?
Yeah, it's 1 gigabit down, 1 gigabit up.
Ooh, symmetric. Ooh.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I'm fairly technical, and I put an Orbi Wi-Fi system into it.
Yeah.
And I have to have a signal at a dwelling that's near my house. It's about 300 feet away.
Ooh, that's a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I put an extender with that Orbi system and 3 satellites.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it seems to drop it quite a bit.
Well, how far is the closest satellite? I mean, it's still going to be 300 feet away, right? How?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Wi-Fi really isn't designed to go that far. For that, you're going to need those satellites aren't going to do it. By the way, the Orbi system is good, and you're probably getting very good throughput, in the house. It's just that distant 300-foot place is a little bit tricky to get to. So what you need to do is you need to get a specialized antenna for long distance. There are antennas that will do this for Wi-Fi, but they're not built into the Orbis. What you'll do is you'll put the one of the satellites as close as you can to that distant house, and then the nice thing about the Orbis, at least the ones I have, they have Ethernet ports out, so you can connect then an antenna to it. I'm going to recommend a site called radiolabs.com. They specialize in long-distance Wi-Fi, and anything past 150 feet really is long-distance Wi-Fi. So they have special antennas. You'll put one outdoors on your house, one outdoors on the house across the way. It'll reach out to it, and you're not going to get a gigabit, but you'd probably be happy with 100 megabits, I'm sure, right?
Well, I mean, it only needs to be like 50.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll go down a lot, but you could get. I think you can get. They claim as fast as 300 megabits with some of their systems over 5 miles. So,
Okay, that sounds great.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you'll need clear line of sight from your house to that outhouse. Are there a lot of trees in the way, or do you have a pretty clear line of sight?
No, it's out in the desert.
Okay. So you shouldn't have any trouble with that. But go to radiolabs.com and don't just buy the first thing you see. Really do some research. They have a lot of information. Click the knowledge section and they'll describe what the issues are and give you some ideas about what might be the right antenna. But I think if you choose the right external, outdoor antenna from your house and outdoor antenna remember, it's got to be two-way. You're sending and receiving. I think with the right antenna, this is not a problem. But the Orbis are not designed to go 300 feet. That's a long, long way.
Yeah, I have an extender hooked up to it, an outdoor extender, and it seems to operate just fine. But it disconnects from two of the main devices, and for some reason it pushes the devices around instead of being connected to the extender. When those devices are over there in that other dwelling, it pushes them back to the main router for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. it's not made to work with the Orbi. It doesn't understand it. The Orbi is very confused, obviously, by it. And that's what's happening with the Orbi base station. It's going, let me, I don't know. You might be able to fix that by manually setting a band for the outbuilding and maybe even a channel within that band. Remember 2.4 gigahertz is what you want. 5 gigahertz really won't go that far. It just, it's designed for short range. So you're going to be on the 2.4 gigahertz band and maybe choose a unique channel for the extenders, avoiding that way channel switching. The idea of the Orbi in all mesh systems is that they adjust automatically to conditions.
Right.
That's not what you want here.
Oh yeah.
You don't want them messing with it. You want to say no. This is always on channel 11 on 2.4 gigahertz. Never, and just keep it there and don't let it mess around with it. That's probably what's happening. It's being too smart.
Okay, and I can just adjust that in the web browser.
You can set. You can set it. Yeah. But so try that first, I guess, before you go to Radio Labs. But if you do really need something extreme, they sell incredible wireless networking products designed to go miles.
Okay. All right. Well, then I won't think about buying a new system. Then I'll just buy something.
No. The Orbis are great. The Orbis are great. There's nothing's designed. No consumer product is designed to go that kind of distance. That's all. If you could put a satellite halfway, you'd be fine. Just build a little house in between, put the satellite out there, you'd be fine.
Right. Or I was thinking about running that Ethernet cord, but I was like, oh, that might be a little complicated.
Yeah, if you can dig it in a little bit, maybe. Yeah. So Ubiquiti sells. Twisted Mister in our chat room says Ubiquiti sells something called the Air Fiber radios, $120 a pair, and you'd get about 200 megabits throughput. That sounds pretty good. But again, I'd go to Radio Labs and look it up.
Right. Awesome. And you're not going to get are you able to get like Wi-Fi signals that are more than 500 megabits per second?
Yeah, that's one of the problems with having gigabit. There's the FCC just approved 6E. Actually, the FCC approved it a while ago. A court, believe it or not, it went to court. I think AT&T sued them, and the court said, no, the FCC can go to 6E, which uses 6 gigahertz. And so there are there's beamforming, there's new 802.11 specs that might improve that, but inside the house, even with a gigabit, and some of it's the machine and the radios and all of that. And the Orbi's very good. By the way, the Orbi probably has the fastest Wi-Fi throughput of any mesh system. But yeah, you're never going to get a gigabit. You should be happy with 500. What are you talking? 500's great.
Well, I mean, I wanted to hook a NAS up to it too.
Yeah, use Ethernet for that. Yeah, that's one. I'm trying to remember, but I think that's one of the advantages of the Orbi satellite systems. They have their own Ethernet ports on there, so you could but you're still going to have it's not going to be more than 500 megabits. That's pretty fast for Wi-Fi.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. I just want to let you know I'm a Club Twit member too.
Thank you.
I've been listening for over a decade.
Thank you, Shalin. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
What's your handle in the Discord?
Way of the Lao.
Oh, I know you. Way of the Lao. I got my eyes on you. Hey, it's great to meet you, Shalin. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
No problem. Anytime.
Have fun. I'm jealous. Sounds like a nice setup. Gigabit symmetric. Wow. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, talking photos right after this. It's a good point. If they can put undersea cables, he could get a 300-foot cable to his house. Good point. All right, Chris. Let me load up these pictures.
All right.
I'm going to see these pictures here. Are you eating Christmas cookies?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Am I making cookie noises?
No, it sounds like you were eating Christmas cookies. I just thought. I was just jealous. I was just jealous. We had to get the Christmas cookies out of the house. I brought them to work. I've been eating them.
I got some mints here.
Mints are good. Mints are good.
No, not going to eat on
What do you? What's the traditional? I was asking in the Discord. What's the traditional New Year's Eve feast in Germany?
It's not as I don't know. I mean, I don't do traditions. So, some families will do a goose. Some people will do a carp.
A carp, really?
Yeah. Some people will do fondue or raclette.
Raclette is what I wanted. And I was telling Lisa fondue, but she's not a fan of fondue. I thought she was, but she doesn't want to eat all that cheese.
And we
oyster
made
stew,
something very
John.
local. What, oyster stew?
Oyster
no.
stew.
Germans don't do that.
No, never in Germany. That was John's. Yeah. Tamales. Did you do tamales, Professor Laura? That's a tradition in New Year's. Yeah. Did you do tongue tamales? Sauerbraten.
Yeah, some people might even do that one. Yeah.
I was trying to talk Lisa into fondue, but I would have had to gone out and get a fondue set or two. It's one of those things where you buy a fondue set, you make fondue once, you put it in the closet.
And then you burn your house down and all.
You put it in the closet. 6 years later, you give it to Goodwill. 4 years after that, you go, hey, we haven't had fondue in a while. Yeah, we gave away the fondue set. Oh, we got to get another one.
Yeah, whenever we do a fondue, which is maybe once a year, we have to search for it.
Yeah, where'd it go?
I forget where we put it.
You don't want to eat fondue a lot, but it's a nice tradition.
Well, the Swiss eat it like once a week.
They eat it all the time?
In winter, it's
so bad for you.
Occurrence.
It's got to be bad for you.
I don't think so.
Swedish meatballs.
I mean, smaller portions, of course.
Tamales de trabalengua. That's what you had. De soyos. Ojos.
I'm looking up tamales. What are tamales?
Oh, tamales are so good.
Nice.
It's a masa corn. It's like a pierogi made out of masa corn. Meat filling or fillings of various kinds, masa corn. And then you wrap them. In southern Mexico, they're wrapped in banana leaves. In northern Mexico, they're wrapped in corn husks. And then they're steamed. They're delicious.
I'm so glad I had dinner already.
Tamales are great. It's time. That song tells you everything you need to know. It's time for my photo sensei, Chris Marquardt at sensei.photo. He helps us get better pictures with our camera phones. Hello, Chris Marquardt.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. To you and yours. How do you say Happy New Year in German?
Frohes Neues. Ja.
Yeah. Okay. You said it. I'll listen. I won't try it. Anyway, it's good to have you. Glad you made it through the holidays. And today we're going to review the perfect assignment for the holidays, lazy.
The lazy assignment. Yes. And again, thank you very much, everyone who participated. It was fun to go through the pictures and to choose 3 that we're going to have a little look at. Let me bring up the slides here. So the 3 that I picked out, the first one is by Brett Jones. It's called Hammock. And
There's nothing lazier than lying in a hammock. I agree. As long as you can keep your balance.
And what I like about this is that it's from the perspective of the person. So it's a lot of pictures depicted someone or something else being lazy, but this is Brett taking a picture of his own feet in the hammock, looking out at the beach probably, and being lazy. So this is a very self-referential picture, and that's cool. I like this. It's a nice perspective.
It's the laziest selfie of all. Your picture of your feet.
Pretty much. He probably, let me check the camera. Oh, it doesn't say what camera. I would expect him to lie there browsing the interwebs on his smartphone and just turning on the camera, take the picture.
He might have even
going back to
taken
browsing.
it by accident.
Maybe.
But you know what I like? The hammock is transparent. It's not, it's not a canvas hammock. It's like a little plastic rope hammock, so you can see through it, which is kind of a cool effect. And he's on the beach, obviously, so that's even more lazy. I like it.
And at least he submitted a photo, so it wasn't all that.
He wasn't too lazy. Yeah.
Next up is by Tom Lott, Lazy Larry.
More feet in this one. Apparently, laziness and feet go together.
Well, that's a coincidence. So we're looking at Larry. Larry sits on a bench of sorts, and Larry has a cup of coffee. He's slouching, so it leans on his tummy, and the picture is from the perspective of his feet that are up on some little bench. And I like the perspective because it really kind of shows it's another lazy pose, but the feet in the front kind of gives it a depth, gives it a it adds to the lazy feeling, because someone who has their feet up is certainly relaxed, not busy doing something. Yeah.
Cup of coffee too. I like that.
Yeah.
Or hot cocoa.
And by the way, the comment says that it's used with permission of the subject.
Lazy Larry, his name is. Thank you, Larry.
And then last but not least, the third picture is, I love this because it's photographically very interesting. So we're looking at a dog lying in a bed, crumpled up bed sheets around it. And the light is so amazing. There's there's sunlight coming in through a window, skimming over the dog. You don't really see a lot of the dog because lots of it is in the shade, but you see a part of the face and the eye, and that is what you get drawn to, because eyes are like a magnet for us. So you have to look there, and the rest that is not visible because it's in the shade, you'll fill in the blanks. That gives you as the viewer a lot of material to work with, because not everything is spelled out in this picture. So really good job.
Really like it. That's nice.
Steven took that one. And the dog's name is Sully.
Sully the dog, taken with permission, of course. He asked Sully ahead of time.
Probably.
It's okay if I take your permission, dog. He is relaxed. That is one relaxed. In acting, they often say, if you want to imagine emotions, think of a dog. If you want to imagine relaxation, think of a cat. But that dog was very relaxed.
That dog was very relaxed.
Very relaxed. Now, that was our assignment for this month. But Chris is always giving us new assignments. Just an excuse. Really, it's not a competition. That's the closest thing to a reward you get. You might get it reviewed on the show. But really, it's an excuse to get you out there taking photos. And there's the magic fishbowl that will deliver us our next assignment.
The fishbowl.
How many slips of words are in there?
They last probably for
another couple of years. Okay, good.
While.
All right.
Let's see how long we do this, but it's fun. Okay. So I am rustling, and he's
put a lot of adjectives and concepts in there.
All adjectives. Here is the one that I chose. Oh. It says bright.
Bright. Perfect.
Bright.
For this time of year. The Festival of Lights.
It's getting brighter every morning. It's a bit earlier when the sun comes up.
That's really kismet, because one of the reasons we have these end of the year festivals is because it's so dark and we need to have lights. Yes. So bright, that could mean a lot of things. I like that, bright. So how does this work? Well, take a picture that in your mind says bright, whatever that means to you. We're not going to tell you. If you find one, you go, I like this. Submit it to our Tech Guy group on Flickr, flickr.com. It's free to join. The Tech Guy group, also free to join. You'll know you're in the right. I think there are other imitations, except no imitation. Join the actual Tech Guy group with, I don't know what, it's like 13,000 members in there. It's big. Renee Silverman's our moderator. When you join, you can submit up to one picture a week for the next 4 weeks. Tag them with TG Bright, so we know it's a submission for this assignment. TG for Tech Guy, Bright for the assignment. TG Bright Renee will thank you for your submission, and then in about 4 weeks, Chris will go comb through them, and he will pick one that's particularly bright. I like bright. Bright could be overexposed, but it could also mean bright sun.
Again,
or
meanings.
Could mean
so
smart.
much in there.
Yeah, could be a whole lot of things. Yeah. The latest sunrise in the Northern Hemisphere is coming up January 6th, according to Retcon 5. So, what does that mean? It means you have a dark morning ahead, and you could take some bright pictures then. I don't know.
I mean, the one thing at this time of year is that if there's good weather, it's fairly easy to get up and catch a sunrise because you don't have to get up at 3 a.m.
That's right.
For me, that makes it much easier.
The contrasts too, for some reason, I don't know if it's the cold air or what, but it seems like it's brighter in the winter. The sun is brighter in the winter. Doesn't it seem that way to you?
It might be, well, especially if there's snow, then there's more reflecting surfaces.
Maybe that's what it is. But we don't get snow here.
Maybe.
But we've had these crystal clear days the last few days, and the sun seems so bright. Maybe because it's not warming you up. You just notice it more.
Less stuff in the air to filter out the light.
Who knows? I've noticed that too in the northern as you go farther north, or I guess in the southern hemisphere, farther south. I don't know what it is, but the light definitely changes, right?
Yes, it does. It does. I'm a total fan of light up north.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I know you used to do these trips to Svalbard. We hope Chris will get back on the road for his photo expedition soon. But meanwhile, go to his website. You can get coaching. You can get inspiration. Sensei, SENSEI.photo. And of course, he has the longest running photography podcast in the world, Tips from the Top Floor. That's TFTTF.com. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Sun's only brighter in the winter when it's clear. It's overcast a lot, I know, in the winter. But for some reason,
I mean, the one experience, and that was up in Iceland, in Reykjavik, was in fall. I was there for a photo workshop. I arrived a day early. I went out in the afternoon. The sun was low in the sky, and I was like, you know how you are calibrated to how long it takes for the sun to go down from a certain angle.
Yes.
And for me, that was like a 20-minute affair. So I was rushing and to get the nice sunlight. And 2.5 hours later, it was almost in the same spot. It took forever.
It's amazing.
To go down.
It's amazing.
It is brilliant. And higher up north, when it gets really cold, like in Svalbard, you end up with there's so much like small ice crystals and things in the air that gives you this interesting diffused kind of. It's wild. It's really wild for photography.
Yeah. It's fun. That's one of the things that's so great about photography is you observe stuff like that you might just not, obliviously walk around and not notice, but you start to pay attention.
You learn to see.
Yeah, you learn to see, and I think that's great. All right, Mr. Marquardt, have a wonderful week. We'll be back next Sunday.
All right. See you next Sunday.
See you then. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Ann's on the line from Fullerton, California. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Leo.
Hi.
I just have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Settle a score here.
Oh, okay. Yes.
No, nothing. I'm mad. I am a former customer of one of your former advertisers, DSL Extreme.
Yes.
And I've been with them like 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, that's about when they advertised with us.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been very happy with them because I'm not an avid user all the time. But anyway, we got a notice from them a couple of months ago that they were going to stop their support, and they were going to ship me over to AT&T, what they call TrueStream.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did that, and I have the high speed Wi-Fi now, which I didn't have with DSL.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I said, well, who is my provider now? AT&T is telling me they're my provider.
Yeah.
DSL is telling me, no, we are your provider. Which is it?
It's a little of both. I'm not sure the actual answer in this case, but it's a kind of complicated hybrid situation. So AT&T owns the copper lines that go into your house. They're the phone company.
Right.
So they own those lines. And the FCC required phone companies, they never required this of cable companies, I'm not sure why, but they required the phone companies to allow other internet service providers to ride on those lines.
Right.
So that meant DSL Extreme had to put a big box in the AT&T switching center, the central office serving your home, that would be connected to the internet and then provide that service over AT&T's line. So it's a little bit of a hybrid situation. And by the way, the phone companies have always hated this because, well, you can imagine it's like, having somebody come in your house and have dinner with you every night, and somebody, so they didn't like it. And so they've always dragged their feet when it comes to service and support and so forth. And it's one of the reasons DSL Extreme struggled. And it's not their fault. It's true of all third-party DSL providers that have to ride on the incumbent phone carrier's cable or wiring. It's a tough situation. It's not a happy marriage. And I think that's one of the reasons you're getting two answers. The internet may still be coming from DSL Extreme. And that you can actually figure out for yourself with a little bit of detective work. You want to look and see who's providing the internet service, the DNS service, and so forth.
I couldn't do that, Leo. I am not that sophisticated.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sophisticated thing. You would do something called a trace route that would watch your traffic go from your computer out into the public world, and you could see whose servers they went through, whether it's AT&T's servers or DSL Extremes. Macintosh computers come with traceroute programs. It's easy to download traceroutes for Windows. So you could see that. It's not going to help you, though, because what are you going to say? Well, wait a minute. The traceroute says that AT&T does it. Nobody's going to believe that. Who do you send money to, I guess, is the question.
I know DSL, they doubled the rate. It used to be like around $32 a month. For their service, and now they've bumped it up to $60 a month.
Yeah, that's because you're using that dual line TrueStream system.
Yeah, but I was just curious because, like I said, I've asked both companies, and I even get notices from AT&T say, "Thank you for being our new customer."
But when you write the check, you write it to DSL Extreme.
Yeah, it comes out. It's an automatic thing, but it just says it from AT&T. Welcome to a new level of in-home Wi-Fi. Thank you for being an AT&T customer. And then when I call DSL, they say, no, we are your provider.
Oh, my goodness.
I just thought, well, I'll ask Leo and see.
Well, there is a website you can go to, the chat room is telling me, that might be an easier way to answer this question. But purely from a technical point of view, there's still the socioeconomic issue that I don't understand what's going on. They may have some sort of joint deal that they're doing. But if you go to the website, whatsmydnsserver.com, WHATS, no apostrophe, MYDNS, and that's the key. Whatsmydnsserver.com. The DNS server is run by your internet service provider, whoever that is. So when you check the button, it will say who is running that DNS product. And that in most cases, not all, but in most cases, will tell you who's your internet service provider. It should say DSL Extreme. AT&T may feel somewhat proprietary since they're the phone company. But you send your checks
to their wire, right there.
It's always going to be their wire. DSL Extreme doesn't come to your house. They rely on the phone company for that. But if you're sending a check to DSL Extreme, I'm going to have to weigh in favor of DSL Extreme.
Okay. Okay. Well, I try to listen to you every weekend. I pick up, like one of your other callers said, I don't really understand a lot, but once in a while I pick up a nugget.
It's osmosis. It'll get in there. I try to speak English, but I slip into nerd, and I apologize for that.
Well, I just appreciate your show, but thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
And I will try that other website.
Yeah, here's another one from another chatter. Whoismyisp.org. I like that one. That might be the definitive answer. Whoismyisp.org.
Okay.
All right, give that a
I'll
try.
try that one too.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'll keep listening to you, and maybe you'll come up with an answer.
Thanks, Ann.
Later on, but
yeah, it's probably a business thing, right? Not a technical thing. Technically, I'm sure DSL Extreme's providing the internet, but they may have some sort of business deal with AT&T that makes AT&T feel proprietary.
But they're thanking me for being a new customer.
That's hysterical. Now, if you call AT&T for support, that'll tell you too, because they don't want to give you support. That's expensive. And I almost guarantee if you call and AT&T say, I'm having trouble with my internet, they're going to say, call DSL Extreme.
Okay, that's a real good point. I think that'd be easy to do. And if they don't want to, if that's not our problem, then you know. Okay.
You're writing the checks to DSL Extreme. I think they're probably the internet service provider. It may have something to do with, and I should check. Maybe that DSL Extreme, since we've, the years since they've left the show and we no longer advertise for them, gosh, it's been a decade, I would imagine. They've been bought and sold several times. So maybe AT&T owns them now. I don't know. So now Steve in San Diego in our chat room, who's I guess a DSL Extreme customer, says when he goes to whoismyisp.org, it says AT&T. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what that website is doing, whoismyisp.org, to figure out who your ISP is. The internet service provider does a number of things, chiefly connecting you to the outside world, to the internet. But they also provide a service called DNS, which is the domain lookup, the phone book. Because when you enter in, google.com, your computer doesn't know what google.com means. It goes out, it asks the ISP, it says, well, who's google.com? What's their phone number, in effect? And the ISP says, oh, yeah, you want to go to 172.3.4.9, one of those long number things. That's, in effect, the internet address, the IP address, or the phone number, and that's what another service that the ISP usually provides. Looking at that should tell you who your ISP is. Good, an interesting question. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, they said that one in the chat room too. Your host name should tell you who your ISP is, actually. See, sometimes people change DNS. This is actually a great site. It's too bad it's so profane. That's hysterical. Who is my ISP is probably the one to use. .org, by the way. But we will put those links in the show notes, right? Oh, I had so much fun with the advent of code. Speaking of regular expressions, this was a fun one. Let me see if I can download this. I'm really stuck right now on I told you, John, my trees get me every time. I'm getting better and better at trees. But this is a graph, which is a tree, a cyclic tree. And it really is tricky because of the parameters for the search. I can pretty much do a depth first and a breadth first search on a tree, on a BST, but on a graph, I could do it. But to avoid loops, you say, well, I've already been to this point, so don't include it. But in this case, he wants you to include lowercase points once and once only. It's a little tricky, but I'll show you. So the problem set was these unmatched. It was like this. It was but longer, and you had to. First thing you had to do is get all the matched pairs out. So this was the regex I used, which is great. That matched pairs, and then I had one that matched right side of the pair only. So it was a really cool little, very quick, stripped out the pairs. Anyway, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. I love regex. And regex has never been a problem for me. I have Jeffrey Friedel's awesome book, by the way, Mastering Regular Expressions. Highly recommend that. But it turns out it's interesting because there's definitely problems in fact, almost all the problems, regex is handy because you can parse the input data in various ways to get it more manageable. So regex helps there. But because he writes them in Perl, I think he kind of tends towards regex problems. But it's interesting to see people with other languages not always using regex. Sometimes they'll use parsing. In fact, often use parsing tools instead, which I have a lot of trouble figuring that out. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. We're having a good time. I got all the way up to, and I am stuck on day 12. I'll show you day 12. adventofcode.com. I'm logged in. So you see I've solved all the way up to day 12. There are 25 days, obviously, because it's an Advent calendar. But day 12, the whole idea is Santa dropped the keys to the sleigh in the ocean, and the elves have to take a submarine to find the keys so that Santa can deliver all the gifts to the good little boys and girls by December 25th. So you're slowly navigating through the ocean with your submarine's subterranean subsystems subsisting suboptimally. The only way you're getting out of this cave, this is Eric Wastel who writes these, does such a good job with the scenarios. It's kind of like word problems in high school, It's like, oy. The only way you're getting out of the cave anytime soon is by finding a path yourself, not just a path. The only way to know if you found the best path is to find all of them. So you're getting, this is a kind of well-known traveling salesman type problem, except he adds this really. So the caves are designated with letters, uppercase or lowercase. The uppercase letters are big caves, the lowercase letters are little caves. You're going from the start to the end. And this is a sample data for your tests. This is a list of how all the caves are connected. You start in the cave named start. Your destination is a cave named end. Entry like B to D means that cave B is connected to cave D. And this is what it would look like, basically. But here's the curveball. Because I can easily find start to end. I can even find all the paths from start to end, avoiding loops. Because it's a graph, you have to be careful because you could end up start to A to B to A to B to A to B to A to B forever. So you want to make sure you don't revisit sites. But he wants you to visit these small caves once exactly. So all the paths you find should visit the small caves at most once. Oh, not exactly. At most once. You can visit the big caves any number of times. So in this case, you could just go start A, end would be one way to go. Start B, end would be one way to go. But if you wanted to visit, see, at most once is interesting. So I now that I reread that, maybe this is easier than I thought, because I thought I had to go exactly once. So I go to start A, C, A, B. Oh, no, you can't do that. Start B. Oh, that's good. You can't do this one because you can't go to C and then back. So anyway. Actually, now that I've reread it, it's not as bad as I thought. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, ISPs, internet addresses, DSL, cable, all of that stuff. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call, but you just have to use Skype to reach me. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go back to the phones. Don on the line from Dana Point, California. Hello, Don.
Hi. I have several questions here regarding phones. I have a Note 8, but the problem is I cannot hover over text links to check the information beyond .com, unlike a PC view.
Yeah. Do you have you tried it with the pen?
I'm sorry?
Have you tried it with the pen?
Yes, and I inadvertently made contact with a link, and it turned out to be a porn site.
Oh, great.
In other words, you receive a text, and it has a link in it, and, of course, you can't hover over it.
My first advice, by the way, never click links in text messages, because almost always those are malicious.
I accidentally did that.
Yeah, I delete. If I don't know who that text message came from, I delete it immediately. I don't investigate. Even if it says, this is your bank and your account's being drained by foreign nationals, click this link here. That's almost always, in fact, it is always a phishing scheme to get you to click that link. Those links are dangerous. Whether it takes you to a porn site or it takes you to a malicious site or both, those are dangerous. So, but your question is legit. I like your question because you're right. Okay. On any email or on any desktop or laptop, you hover, you position the mouse over the link, and you'll get more information about the link in the status bar.
Okay, next question. I'm getting something from horizondirect.com, and they say we're going to take, because of your subscription, which I never signed up for, we're going to take money from you in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, that's phishing. That's phishing.
They have a bad reputation with the BBB. How do I stop them from sending me more?
It's spam. It's phishing. So the first thing that, I want to answer all of the questions. So it's really an interesting question of what do I do on a smartphone? How do I investigate a link? Sometimes with the Galaxy Notes, maybe it's the more recent ones, you could hover the pen and it would tell you, because the newer Notes have the sensor that can actually pick up where the pen is. I think that 8 probably would do that, but if not, but that's really not to the point, because you accidentally click it, that's bad. And the truth is, it may be, it's not merely that you need eye bleach now because of what you saw. It may be that the simple act of clicking that link installs malware on your system.
Agreed.
So we don't want to ever even take a risk of clicking that link. You want to delete those messages. You can block messages from a particular sender. Almost all operating systems, if you delete it, will then give you a chance to report junk mail and sometimes even block it. The problem is people who send that kind of malicious link send it from made-up phone numbers. So you could block that number. Doesn't matter. They're going to be a different one every time.
Agreed. And they can send me incorrect numbers. They can spoof it anyway.
They can spoof it.
Okay, next question.
So the payload on that text message is not the phone number, just like the payload in spam email is not the return address. Pointless to investigate where it came from. That's not where it really came from. The main point is don't click that link.
Yes, I agree completely.
Yes.
Okay, next question. How do I block a text? I'm getting something that's spelled MC capital A __FEE. And they want to, I want to block that, but I don't see any way of blocking.
Again, you can't, because even if you blocked the originating number, they just use a different number.
There's no way to do a one-size-fits-all.
No.
They send me McAfee.
No. Who's your phone company?
Consumer
Cellular. Yeah, you might call Consumer Cellular and say, look, I want to block spam texts. And they, all the carriers to a greater or lesser degree have the ability to block spam phone calls and spam texts.
I'll do that. Last question.
Yes.
LastPass is becoming business-oriented like Carbonite
That's right.
did.
Yep, just like Carbonite.
Could I consider switching over to Dashline?
There are many other password managers. It's easy to move from LastPass to another password manager. They have an export command that will get your whole password vault and allow you to import it into the ones I recommend. You should be careful, I presume, choosing a password manager. I would look at the open source Bitwarden because it's free forever. There's a small $1 a month fee if you want to get a kind of a professional version, but it's full featured for free. That's bitwarden.com. Another very popular, probably the most popular password manager is something called 1Password. What was the one you were thinking of switching to?
Dashlane. I have 2 laptops and a phone.
Yeah, Dashlane's fine. That one's fine too. All of those are good, and all of them are more consumer-focused than LastPass. So, yes, excellent choice.
I don't mind paying money for it because I want, as I say, I want both laptops and the phone to share the same thing.
Yeah. In the case of Bitwarden, you don't have to pay for that feature because it's an open-source project. So,
okay, one thing that's important is another way. I found out this hard way. It's with LastPass. It's really important to have a secondary means of accessing your account. LastPass now has a biometric, which they didn't have before, and I paid the price for that. They do now with a...
always, you want two-factor. Yeah,
essential.
I agree, and all of them do it. That's a form of two-factor where you have the login and the password, but you also have to provide a thumbprint, a Face ID, maybe a 6-digit code. That's two-factor, which is absolutely imperative. In fact, with LastPass in particular, LastPass had was recently attacked by hackers who didn't get through on anybody who had two-factor. So two-factor, and you're right. I love the idea that you can do it with your fingerprint or your face. It's so much faster, and all of them will support that.
Several years ago, LastPass found my passwords in the dark web or something.
Yeah.
And they automatically closed my account, and I could not get back in again, nor in
that's
response from them.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Don. That's awful. That is not the way to respond to that.
We didn't have the biometric backup at that time.
Yeah, that must have been a while ago. Yeah, so absolutely use two-factor on everything, not just your password manager, obviously very important, but your bank, everything if you can. And the best two-factor is biometric. I agree. So yes, Dashlane should do that. 1Password does for sure. Bitwarden does for sure.
Okay. Do you read a little pamphlet, 2600?
I do. I know 2600 well. That's a hacker group, and it's great. Do you read 2600, Don?
They have numerous ways of getting around the second factor.
Yes, of course. The chief way is SMS text messaging. So don't use two-factor over your cell phone. Either use an authenticator or biometrics. I use a YubiKey, which is a physical hardware key, and I doubt even 2600 can break through that one. That's a pretty good way to do it.
Okay, Microsoft Authenticator and I have a hate relationship. I have never. It used to be able to work, and now it doesn't.
So use either Google's Authenticator or my third-party favorite is Authy, A-U-T-H-Y. It's from a company called Twilio. It's free. I think it's very good. But again, yeah, Authy is great, much better than Microsoft's. You still need Microsoft's for Windows and so forth, so you're going to keep it on there. But for those 6-digit codes, I would use Authy or Google's Authenticator. Those are probably better. Okay.
Right, I don't want to take that more of your time. Thank you very much.
Great questions. I love hearing somebody who cares about their security, Don. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. And obviously fairly sophisticated because he's paying attention to the thing to remember when you read these hacker magazines or the Chaos Computer Club or you read even online about security flaws is for the most case, it's not something that's going to affect you. For instance, LastPass had a problem. It turned out it was what they call credential stuffing. The people who were affected by this had used them, and never do this, reused their master password for their password vault in other places. Those other places got breached, the password leaked out, and then the bad guys tried that password on a variety of sites, including LastPass, and it worked. The two things to take away from that: don't reuse passwords, turn on two-factor, because either one of them would have thwarted that attack. Don't reuse passwords. I know. How can I remember all these passwords, Leo? I understand. Get a password vault. We mentioned a few. LastPass is good. Dashlane is good. 1Password, Bitwarden, they're a sponsor, but I happen to use them anyway. I think they're very good. Those are excellent products. Don't reuse your password to log into the vault. That's the one and only password you got to memorize. And then turn on two-factor everywhere you can. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Back to the phones, lots of calls. First show of the new year. Are we having fun yet? All right, we'll have more with the tech guy right after this. Actually, they did in some cases click things, Galia. There were a variety of attacks from the NSO group. Once they get Pegasus on there, it's zero click. But some of the attacks were, in fact, text messages that you had to click on. You are so good. Professor Laura, musical director, she just picks the best tunes, doesn't she? Thank you. And I have to point this out that even though I was not here for the last 3 episodes, I took Christmas Day off, of course. Could have come in on Boxing Day, the 26th, but I opted out. Didn't want to come in on New Year's Day. You know, those are holidays. But you know who gets to work even when I'm not here? Laura. So Laura, thank you. She has to come in to present the best of encore presentations that you heard over the last 3 episodes. So thank you, Laura, for working hard. She works extra hard. Now, Kim and I, we didn't bother. We stayed in our jammies and stayed home. 8888 Ask Leo. On we go with the show. Henry's on the line from Prescott Valley, Arizona. Hello, Henry.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm very well. How are you? Happy New Year.
Well, I wasn't in the obituaries this morning, so I guess I'm doing okay.
You know, that's a good idea. You check those every morning just to make sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm Henry, the Space Happy Moon mouse, if you remember me.
I do remember you, because my son's name is Henry, so as soon as I saw your name, I knew it was you.
Uh-huh. And I'd like to say hello to Rob, the air show guy, my good friend, and one of your biggest fans.
Oh, yeah, good friends, yep. So what can I do for you on this new 2022?
Well, I have an ET4750 right now.
Eco-tank printer from Epson.
Yes, sir, and I love it, but it keeps going blank on me because I don't use it enough.
Yeah, it's funny because they used to be a sponsor, and I use EcoTank printers. But like every inkjet, if you don't print, at least once a week, I don't know what the actual number of pages you need to print and what the time frame is, but I roughly once a week, the ink in the jets dries up and clogs. And every time I would say that, Epson would call me and say, no, ours doesn't. I said, yes, it does. No, we have special coatings. It doesn't. I said, but it does. Anyway, we never resolved that one.
Well, it does.
Yeah, I'll vouch for that too. So the trick is either to print something every week there is a nozzle cleaning routine. And on the eco tanks, it's not the end of the world because you have so much ink and the ink's so much less expensive. But, it does use a lot of ink. I think it's just a flaw in the technology. These are very, very tiny nozzles on these inkjet printers, and ink dries out no matter what. So if you don't kind of regularly use them, you're going to, the nozzles will get clogged. They can be unclogged in almost all cases. But so that's why I say get a laser printer.
Well, that's what I called about it, to see if you had any recommendations for a laser all-in-one.
Yeah. So the difference, of course, between laser and inkjet is when it comes to color, and particularly when it comes to photo printing. Nothing is going to give you as good a result on photos as an inkjet. I mean, there's some professional dye sublimation printers it'll do too, but for the reasonable cost in the home, if you're printing and you want good color, your inkjet's your best bet. Do you care about color?
I would prefer color, but, sometimes you got to give up one thing for the other.
You can get color laser, and it's not very expensive. The thing that stopped people for a long time was, I remember my first laser printer was an Apple laser writer. It was $5,000.
Yes, I had one of those too.
Yeah, great. And they were a breakthrough technology. But the good news is you can get good laser printers now for $100. And there's a lot of advantages. Consumables aren't as expensive because you buy toner cartridges. You can buy 5,000-page toner cartridges for about $100. Do the math. That's a very low per-page cost, much lower than inkjet, even the eco tanks. And also, I think the print is a little crisper with laser jets because it's the same technology you see in photocopiers. They use static on a well, you don't have to explain the whole thing. You get it. But the color isn't as rich. So you can get in what they call color laser printers typically is business color. In other words, you wouldn't want to print a photo, but it's fine if you want to do color graphs. If you like color in your printing, but you don't need that vibrant color from an inkjet. There are good color lasers as well. I use Brother. I think Brother makes very inexpensive and very good laser printers. I've been very happy with them. Not a sponsor. HP is, of course, the king of inexpensive laser printers. I'm not as crazy about them. They've had some security flaws lately. So I'm going to say Brother out of the top, off the top of my head. But I would also recommend a visit to PC Magazine. They do a yearly laser printer review that will give you more detail about the pros and cons of each. They have one called The Best Laser Printers for 2021, very timely. It was updated in November, so it's at least, late 2021. Their editor's choices included the HPs, the Brothers, and Lexmarks. But I'm a fan of the Brother. I use a Brother laser printer, and I've been very happy with it. And the nozzles never clog. It's amazing.
I've used some of their products in the past, and they're very good. They're
good. They're very good. Hey, I'm sorry, Epson, but the facts is the facts. What can I say? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't mind because Epson doesn't advertise anymore anyway. I think I have an EcoTank, and I keep using that. We just have to make sure we use it regularly because it is, you're never going to get around that clogging problem. How often do you print?
Very seldom anymore, but I do use it for all the other things that you can get in a printer.
Yeah,
like copying and that sort.
Yeah, so you can get a multifunction. Brother has a multifunction laser printer that's I think it was $250. The cartridge is the toner cartridge it comes with. Well, it doesn't go very far. They have a mini cartridge, but. So I went out and bought a big cartridge after that ran out, and I haven't changed it since. It goes thousands of pages. So,
I spent 6 months in hospital and rehab facilities in 2021. So my ET 4750 had a good chance to lock up.
Yeah, if you don't use it for 6 months. But if you ran the nozzle cleaning routine, did it work again?
Oh, yeah, I have had to do that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I've almost run out of ink because of it. So I thought it would be easier just to get a laser printer and just go from that angle, because I don't need color anymore so much since I don't.
Inkjet, the other downside of the inkjet, it bleeds a little bit depending on the paper you use, and laser isn't actually ink. It's toner, and so it's much crisper printing. I think you if you had an Apple laser writer, you know how good those looked.
Oh, they were wonderful. At that time, I was self-employed, and I had to prepare long reports.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, it was great.
Fast, quiet.
Printer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lasers can be, it depends on what, usually those are more expensive, but they can be a lot faster than inkjet, too.
Well, I appreciate it, Leo, and I see Rod in the background there.
He's here in his spaceship.
He's my hero. I'm the Space Happy Moon Mouse that he talked about a little while ago.
Yeah, I remember you. Henry, have a great week. I appreciate your calling. Thank you.
Take care and have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Epson would say, you have to stop saying our printers clog. And I say, but dudes, they do. But we have special coatings. They don't clog. We should do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take off. No, come back. Rod Pyle's here, author of so many great space books like Space 2.0, First Man on the Moon, Interplanetary Robots, Amazing Stories, Blueprint for a Battlestar, editor-in-chief of the Ad Astra magazine. Yeah, this is the Rod Pyle pile. All the books in a special. We keep it right at hand so I can show you on the radio. Anyway, Rod, it's great to talk to you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday break.
Did, thank you.
In space.
Had an unscheduled visit from a guest we didn't want called COVID, but other than that,
oh no, are you okay?
Yeah, actually, it was like the mildest cold I've ever had. It was almost nothing.
Well,
God, I am a believer. I know you're a hardcore right winger, but I'm a believer in vaccines.
If you didn't believe in science, I'd have some problems with you, Rod. I don't think you'd be talking about space, to be honest with you.
That booster, man.
Yeah. So you were already boosted and you had a breakthrough, but it didn't knock you down. So I'm boosted, but I don't want to, because you don't know. Some people, they get really sick. I don't know.
I know.
I don't want to be that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't go around licking doorknobs, but, if it does happen to occur.
That's good to know. I'm glad you're okay, and the family all got it too, huh?
Yeah.
And everybody's fine though.
Youngster, but everybody's okay. A little harder on my girlfriend's daughter because she hadn't been boosted yet, but still nothing severe, But I know it's sheer luck. I mean, the booster worked, which is great, but it can affect different people differently. So I still wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. We live in amazing times. I mean.
Oh my Lord. I mean, a year they did it.
Yeah. And frankly, anybody who listens to the show is interested in technology. Technology is just applied science. It's just, and we live in, and it's easy to take it for granted, but we live in amazing, well, I'll give you an example. Christmas Day, they launched a space telescope. Now, the Hubble, which had been up there for a decade, right?
Longer.
He's getting a little long in the tooth. Some amazing science we got out of this. Tell me about the James Webb telescope.
So this is outrageous ambition. And as we've discussed before, this started over 20 years ago as a conversation about a large space telescope. Maybe it'll cost $500 million. It's kind of expensive, but we think we can do it. And, a lot of people talk about the budget creep because it got up to $10 billion, a little over $10 billion by the time it launched. But it's also an entirely different instrument than they were talking about. And you're putting this basketball court-sized space telescope inside a rocket with a 15-foot by about 28-foot fairing. So everything's got to fold up, as we know. We've been talking about it. We've been hearing about it. So it's about halfway to its target now.
It's going to go to what they call a Lagrange point.
Yeah, Lagrange 2, Sun-Earth Lagrange 2. So it's, as of right now, this very moment, it's 515,616 miles from Earth.
Wow.
So a little over halfway, about 60% to its final destination, which is about 900,000 miles. And it's a weird spot in space. There's a number of these Lagrange points. They are gravitational spots where things conspire to let you maintain a very small orbit, in this case called a halo orbit, which lets you kind of stay in one place. You're orbiting around a spot in space, but it's almost like you have a little planet there, even though there's nothing there. So this is on the far side of the Earth from the sun, well beyond lunar orbit.
The gravitational forces of the Earth and the sun are balanced, so you can kind of just stay there, which is, for a telescope, ideal.
It's ideal. And unfortunately, it's too far to do an easy servicing mission, which is why, of course, we're so nervous about this deployment.
This thing has to work right the first time.
Right. So we're about a third of the way through the 400 and something different separate activities that have to take place.
All automated, all autonomous, or are they triggered? I mean, are we?
They're triggered.
Okay.
They're triggered.
Okay.
So this is coming up later, what we saw before. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen for a second. So they've already lowered.
I can go back to the beginning. You made a great video, which we'll post on the website. Thank you for giving me credit in there.
Well, hey, thanks to NASA, So solar boom went out first, which is, of course, necessary for power.
And that's out now.
Then they lowered these two sides.
And this has all worked so far, right? No.
It's all worked so far. And remember, that's just 5 layers of Kapton foil. So it looks substantial, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a tissue paper kite, if you remember those horrible things. So that's completed. Then
aren't they worried about meteors or meteorites or comets or?
They've gusseted the thing. Oh, by the way, this is very cool. This is a little, in effect, almost a little solar sail. It's a panel that allows light pressure from the sun and help keep the thing oriented. So this step.
So that's nice. They don't have to use rocket. They don't have to use rocket fuel. They're just using
not as much
little sails, little sun sails, in effect.
And then this is the tensioning step, which is what's going to happen tomorrow. And during that, so these are 5 layers of Kapton foil, really thin, all smushed together. As they get tensioned, these little
so it's like stretching a sheet,
and these 5 layers kind of go pink, 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 pink with a little stretcher to pull the layers taut. And it's incredible that it has worked on Earth in 1G. Of course, you can't simulate it in 0G. So that's the question. Will everything work perfectly? But
if it doesn't, is it just over? I mean, it's like if anything goes wrong, is it just a piece of space junk?
Well, they've got a variety of techniques, and they learned a lot from the Galileo mission. If you remember Galileo out to Jupiter, that big antenna dish, which is also a deployable mesh, jammed up because it had been stored too long because the debacle with the shuttle Challenger and so forth. So they learned a lot about how to unstick stuck mechanisms. So if something does jam up, they'll do a little bit of flexing and torquing and stuttering with the motors to try and get it unstuck. So there's a lot of things they can do.
Where is
there's
the
nobody
mission,
out there.
Where is the mission being monitored? Is it at JPL or where are they?
I think this one's being monitored out of part of it's JPL, obviously, because they do all the tracking and so forth. But I don't remember
there's got to be some people just holding their breath every moment of this. I mean,
not just some, the whole science and engineering team.
Yeah, because now what are we going to get from this? Why are we spending $10 billion to put this out there?
Good question. It's 3 times the diameter, almost 3 times the diameter of the Hubble.
A bigger mirror means you gather more light, more information.
You're gathering a lot more light, which is why it had to be in separate cells. Now, let's bear in mind, if we had the Starship flying, space as a Starship, you could launch something almost this big in one piece and practically build it out of lead. It wouldn't have to be this light, fragile thing, but we're not there yet. We're using smaller rockets. But what this telescope is so special about it is it can see in the infrared. So Hubble has some infrared capability, But this has extreme infrared capability because it cools way down. The differential is close to 600 degrees between the hot side and the cold side of those sun shields. And in the infrared, you can look way further back in time, way further into the universe. We're talking 200 to 300 million years after the Big Bang. So when the first stars are still forming, when the first galaxies are first forming. So you're really looking at the very beginning of time. Infrared lets you look past all the dust and all the junk that's out there between us and those things, billions and billions and billions of miles away. So that's the big thing.
We always when I was a kid, thought if you could just get a good enough telescope and send it far enough away, you could look back on the earth and you could see Jesus being born, and you could see, but this is in effect kind of what we're doing. We're looking into,
we're just doing it the other direction. Yeah.
Billions of years in the past, the very beginning of the universe. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's just part of what the James Webb is going to be.
Yeah, it also will actually be able to measure atmospheres of exoplanets.
So it's going to look for other Earth-like planets, maybe even pictures of aliens. Rod Pyle.
Hopefully just like these, right?
Space.nss.org. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
It's like Wayne's World. Man, if you could put a telescope like 500 or 1,000 light years out there, and you could look back and you see, But this is doing that.
Extreme.
It's
cool.
And
it's funny, for so many years, if you were in the press, you're watching this thing, and it's like, come on, is this ever going to launch? How much more is it going to cost? We kind of got jaded to it, I think, some of us anyway. But now that it's up there and you're watching the stuff, and of course, as it's flying, I started paying a little more attention to the details of how this deployment worked, because I was kind of avoiding it because I was so terrified of it. But it really is.
It's definitely
a
tour
de force of technology.
It's amazing. Yeah. John showed me a picture 20 years ago. He worked at Cal State. 20 years ago, NASA came to Cal State with a prototype that looks nothing like this. And they were looking for, kids studying science to come work for NASA so we could plan this telescope. 20 years in the making. It's amazing.
And John turned him down to work for you.
And John ended up working here. Sorry, John. No, he was an MSI. He was getting his master's in information systems, MIS. So not really. Well, maybe. I don't know, John. Could you have worked for NASA? I bet you could have.
I think he could have.
He says in public
a lot
relations,
of specializations there. But I think he's probably having a lot more fun working for you.
He said he tried to get a job at Caltech and JPL.
Yeah?
In PR.
It's a tough, everything's tough. I mean, podcasting's tough, as you know.
Not that tough. No.
But PR at Caltech and JPL is quite a job. I mean, you got a lot of marks to hit.
Yeah. Well, you did it, right?
I did, and I enjoyed most of it. It's just, like any of those jobs, it's a combination of marketing, advertising, fact, spin control, disaster relief,
but also a certain understanding of the science, right?
Yeah, and I did get into a couple of situations. There was one paper at Caltech I was writing an article on. I think we did 30 drafts because the professor was just very particular about the specificity of things.
You're not describing this accurately.
Yeah, and God bless him. I mean, he was a brilliant guy. I spent a year following him.
Have you seen the new Netflix movie Don't Look Up?
Yes. Now, isn't this interesting? I mean, they were so carefully politically neutral in their satire.
Except
I'm watching people read. Well, but I'm watching people, critics and social commentary read into. But some are saying this is ultra conservatives, and others saying no, it's screamingly
it's all about
liberal.
Climate change,
and it's all about climate change. And no, it's not. It's this. It's that.
So the best part is early on, Leonardo DiCaprio's scientist is trying to explain stuff from the science, and people are just glazing over.
Yes.
And then he learns how to be a science whore, and that's part of the fun of the movie. Anyway, I got to run.
Learning the room. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Rod, always a pleasure. Thank you. I'm sure we'll want to talk more about the James Webb because it's really remarkable.
Well, let's hope we keep talking.
We will. These guys are amazing. It's amazing.
They really are.
And I know they did everything possible to test this. And yes, something could go wrong, but boy, if I were a betting man, I would not bet against this working perfectly. I would not.
One thing for sure, we know it'll be in focus.
Because
what they learned from Hubble,
you can't put a lens on. You can't send a guy up there to fix it.
This has got to be right in the first pass. Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you, Rod.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for being my musical director, Professor Laura. Thank you so much to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Thanks to all of you for being here. And I think it's appropriate to play this, of course, because in honor of Betty White. The theme, it was the theme from the Golden Girls, was it not? I think it was. Am I wrong, Laura? She doesn't know. She's too young. 8888 asked, thank you most of all to you for listening and calling in, too. I appreciate it. Jack on the line from Huntington Beach, California. Thank you for being a listener. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, I got a new iPhone, by the way. I just thought I'd tell you I got the Pro Max.
Did you get the 13?
Yes.
Good man. So you got the latest, greatest.
Yeah, and my one comment about it is pretty heavy phone.
Yes, it really is. It's the heaviest they've made, I think, because it's got a bigger battery, and of course, it's a giant screen.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because I honestly, for years, and I think this was because of Apple's chief designer, Johnny Ive, they were getting thinner and lighter. But there's a negative to that, which is battery life was going down. Antennas weren't as good, so I don't mind that they're a little heavier. We just have to get used to it. Think of it as an exercise.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I've talked to you in the past, and my kids have better phones than I do. And so
not anymore.
Believe me, I have at least 11s, and they're going to get new ones. But I was working off a 6.
Good.
And what happened was it wouldn't even download like a Starbucks ad or something.
Oh yeah. No, you got to keep up with the times, unfortunately. And it's kind of an artificial thing because they don't have to make these ads so big and websites so fat, programs so enormously bloated, but because everybody's got so much memory and so much horsepower, they do. It's, they don't have to optimize, so.
Yes. Now, I have two things to talk about, and I know that your time is running low. So I wanted to respond to my previous call. I talked to you about that my C drive was full, and then we talked about moving it to the E drive.
Yes.
Because the E drive had like a whole bunch of space on it. And anyway, so you talked to me about the move command. I don't think there's a move command anymore. I looked for it. So I tried to copy some of the pictures.
Yeah, robo copy will do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I ended up doing, which seemed to be a pretty good solution, was I did take it over to the local, it was a Best Buy, and they said, why don't you put in a new hard drive? And so they used a Samsung.
There you go. And they put in a solid state drive too, right?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Put solid state.
Huge improvement.
And then, they have this program where they fix all your personal computers. So I took my older laptop over there, but they just moved everything. They just cloned it. They said that Samsung has a program that they can clone it.
That's right.
And they just cloned the hard drive. So it was kind of a good solution to that.
Painless.
I wanted to tell you about that.
Yeah. And do you notice your computer's a lot faster too now?
It is.
Yeah.
It's super fast and great. Although I will tell you that then my video card went out, so I'm looking at a new.
Oh man! Oh man!
And when I've taken it in twice, they said this is an older computer. Well, I'm an older guy, so.
We're gonna get you on a new computer. We got you a new phone. I think it's time. In the next few years, Dad's gonna get a new computer too. Boy, you're gonna love it.
I know they're right, and I'm not trying to save it forever. It's just kind of I go, well, the computer was a couple $1,000s when I bought it. So you put in,
I think the SSD was a significant improvement.
When
we think of the speed of the computer, a lot of times people focus on the speed of the processor, the megahertz, and honestly, the other stuff's as important, if not more important, how fast and how much RAM you have, how fast your hard drive is, how big it is. All of those make a big difference. So I think you did an inexpensive upgrade that gave you a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, it really did. Now, here's my big question, and it's for my daughter. She's going, I always feel like I'm bragging when I say this, but she's applying to law school right now.
Good for you. That's great. Good for her. That's awesome.
She wants to be a patent attorney. I think I've told you that before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she needs I talked to you once before about this too. She got the Apple computer laptop with the butterfly keyboard that, just went out, right?
Yeah.
And then okay, so we're turning that in. I'm getting her a new computer. I'm looking, and I tend to overbuy, but I don't want to underbuy either. So I'm looking at the MacBook Pros for her.
Very nice.
And, okay, now this is where I'm getting into my question, which is fast. It's just like they have an option for an Apple M1 Pro.
Yeah.
It's a 10-core. It's a 10-core.
All she needs is the M1 Pro. Don't be tempted by the Max.
That was my question.
Yeah, the difference between the Pro and the Max on these Macs is the MAX Max is the graphics card, graphics processing, and she's not going to be doing any of that. If she were a video editor or a photographer, maybe, but no. In fact, I ended up, because I could get it quickly, buying the base model 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro. And it's been phenomenal. It performs beautifully. It's all she needs. If she wanted the 16-inch, because with law school, she might be looking at longer, bigger documents, doing a lot of that. That would be fine, but you don't need the Max. The Pro is more than sufficient. I bought the base model. I'm very happy.
And 16 gigabytes of RAM.
16 is plenty for, yep, absolutely. Yeah. You don't need the 32 or 64. Hard drive size, that's a little more tricky because, I got, as I said, the base model 512, and it still was $2,000, by the way. These are not cheap.
Right. Well, is a terabyte plenty?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. And then...
you're very generous, Dad.
Oh, well, thank you. So what about the pre-installed software that you can pay for? And it's less expensive because she's a student, but they have Cut Pro and Logic Pro. Well, I guess they said you can install that later.
You can buy it later. I don't think she'll need that unless she's – Logic's for music. It's great if you're, a musician or a composer. But unless she's going to do that, I wouldn't – it comes with GarageBand, which is – pretty much all you need. Oh, okay. Same thing for, you don't need Final Cut unless you're a professional editor. Comes with iMovie, pretty much all you need. Comes with the base, Pages, they call it Apple Works or iWork, but it's really their Office suite, Pages, Numbers, Keynote. It's got everything she needs. Don't buy additional hardware. I wouldn't personally buy additional insurance, the Apple Care, because it's a profit center for them. On a laptop, does she drop things a lot?
In school, I don't know how she accidentally threw a phone in the dishwasher.
Okay, then it might be Apple Care might be worth it. That's a tricky decision. I'm not a big fan of extended warranties only because it's a big profit center for those companies. I prefer to self-insure. But on the other hand, if you drop it, you break it, there is a deductible, don't forget, but it's a little bit of reassurance. And a student's going to put it through a little bit more hardship than you or I, maybe.
Yeah. She likes the 14-inch because it's easier to carry.
I bought the base model 14-inch. Literally, I am so happy. I thought, I'm going to be sad. I didn't get the Max, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't be happier.
Okay, thanks so much for helping me.
My pleasure, Jack. Congratulations. That's awesome. You got a lawyer in the family. Hey, we're out of time. I can't believe it. Thank you to everybody who joined us. A happy new year to you all. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I will be back next week answering calls, talking about the latest tech news, helping you buy computers for your family members or yourself, smartphones and that kind of thing. Talking high tech, talking about the world of high tech. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm wishing you a very safe Geek Week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.